Yeah, one thing about me, I'm a kind of a fancy guy, so I am a big Origin fan. Kind of hard to believe because, like, Origin and Drake are like my two favorite brands, which they couldn't be, two polar opposites. Like, Drake's got more of that Star Wars messy aesthetic, and Origin's more fancy, kind of got a BMW, Mercedes feel to it. Very classy, very high end. And then now, like, I've become a big fan of Crusader, which sits in between. So I think those are my three favorites. But I'm not sure what that says about me personality-wise. Anyway, here we go. We're at Invictus. Let's take a quick look at the RSI Hall here. And as we can see, we're greeted right away by the Aurora on the left, which is RSI's entry-level fighter. The Constellations are flanking the room, which are pretty old, but very good utility ships within the verse. They're very customizable, so we'll dive into that as well. And on the right, looks like we've got a Mantis, which is an interesting ship. We'll definitely talk about that. Definitely kind of gives me some sexy Star Trek vibes to it. But that's another important thing to bring up about RSI. I'm pretty much a style person. I really like style a lot, and I think Star Citizen does a good job of creating these ship brands that all have a unique style. And if you're more of a Star Trek-y kind of person, then RSI is probably the brand for you. And we'll get into that. But let's start with a ship that's kind of unique. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a fan of the Auroras. I don't really like the way that they look. It's not exactly something that I'd want in my hangar or garage or parked outside of my house where I'm like, hey, this looks great. But it is a good starter ship. I think the cheapest one is at 40 bucks. So if you're new to the game, this is a good one to get. Very versatile, allows you to do box missions and stuff like that because it has a cabin inside. As a matter of fact, let's go check out inside the cabin. But the cabin's part of my problem with this ship, which we'll get into here. Alright, so you can see, pretty tight cabin, but it's a starter ship, so, what do I expect, right? I'm probably asking for a bit too much. It does have a bed, which the other starter ship, the Mustang, which I'm assuming from Consolidated is here, does not have. My issue with it, the camera gets all crazy because of how tight this bed is. Let me see if I can show you guys this. I'm going to zoom in. It's like a coffin in here. So I'm kind of a claustrophobic person, so even though it's a game, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't know if I could do this, dude. But hey, it's a starter ship, it gets the job done. The point of the bed is to allow you to log out in a game wherever you are. Not every ship has this option, Aurora does, so at that price point, we got to give it to them. It's got it. But it's just not my cup of tea. But to each their own. If you're an Aurora lover, please don't jump all over me, but let me know in the comments below why I'm wrong. Other than that, though, I mean, the handling's pretty good. You can do a box mission because, like I said, you have a cabin in here, so you can, do deliveries and whatnot in here. I mean, it's a very competent ship. I wouldn't exactly say it's good for heavy combat, but, it's a good starter. One good thing to note about the Auroras this year, I mean, this is a pretty nice paint job. The LN looks like it's loaded with a nice missile rack on top. It's a good starter ship. It comes with a good paint job this year, and I think I saw this on Astropub, but there's a good package out where you can get Squadron 42 with the Invictus blue paint job, I think for 60 bucks, which is a steal. So that's the Aurora, probably your cheapest entry level into the game. You can't go wrong buying that for 40 bucks. I mean, that's cheaper than the price of most games, so if it gets you into the PTU and into this game, and it's really the only ship you need to buy because you can earn everything else in the game. So don't feel pressured to buy an expensive ship like one of these over here, which is the Constellation series. Although if you're like me and you work crazy hours and you just don't feel like you have a lot of time to grind or whatnot, I don't think it hurts to buy something that you really like. I just try to find ships that make sense and are good value. So let's talk about this. This has been around for a long time. The Constellation series is kind of like, I like to think of it as like the workhorse of RSI's line. But typical to like the way that airline manufacturers work, you can get these decked out in different styles and flavors. You know, you have the Taurus, which I believe is their cargo ship. Phoenix, or I'm sorry, the Aquila, I think, does the exploration bit. Let's see if it's on the placard. You know, so before the Carrot came out, which is an excellent exploration ship that can do everything, you kind of had these Constellations filling that role and doing it pretty well. I mean, there's a bay in here that can hold an Ursa Rover. There's a snub fighter on the back that holds the Krueger. So, I mean, these are versatile ships. I mean, you really can't go wrong with them. The problem is they haven't aged very well. You know, they're probably going to get a redesign at some point on the interior. And speaking of the interior, let's talk about that. Let's go inside. So ships that have an elevator to get in, I'm not too crazy about because it takes so long to get into them sometimes, but it works. It's fancy. You got a turret down there, which is pretty cool. One thing that's really cool about Constellations is they do work as multi-cruise ships, and they're really good gunships in my experience. You know, and I'm sure if you can, I don't know, if you watch people like Subliminal and stuff like that, they'll probably give you some really good builds on how to customize and deck out your ship. I hate how dark these things are on the inside when the power is off, though. But, yeah, Connie's a good ship, right? And this is the Krueger that's attached to the back here. I believe I have a video of me detaching from a video that I was working on, but I just didn't have time to finish. I'll probably pop it up on a screen so you guys can see what that looks like. I enjoy flying my Constellation when I have time to do it. Okay, this one out here has the cargo ramp deployed, so you can see you can drive your vehicle up on this. And even the Rock DS, the hideous Rock DS, I'm just kidding, Rock DS lovers, that can fit up here as well too. So, I don't know. I mean, the only thing is I can't get too excited about Constellations because they've been out forever, and that's what you're going to see from RSI. But, you know, good multi-cruise ship. Hey, what's up, buddy? I didn't see you there. Anyway, let's talk Mantis now. Mantis, very nice. Looks kind of like a runabout from Star Trek, right? Where you have like the thrusters are like in the Star Trek-y nacelle position. I think it's a very sexy ship. From what I recall, it's really got some excellent handling. The problem with this guy is the gameplay is just not there, right? Basically, the point of the ship is that it's got, I believe, a quantum snare in it, so it can stop ships from quantuming away. And I believe it can rip them out of quantum. Let's see what the placard here says. Yep, stop ships dead in their tracks with RSI's premier quantum enforcement ship. Mantis features tailor-made quantum enforcement device from Waytech, capable of ripping ships out of QT with its quantum snare and preventing hasty escapes with its quantum dampener. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. The problem is once you stop these ships from getting away, what are you going to do with them? Because it's not a heavily armed ship. I believe you just have these two arms here, and I don't know what size they are. I believe there's like, I'm going to guess maybe size 2s. So, I mean, you might rip a guy out of quantum and then he rips you apart, so you got to have a lot of friends with you. The other problem I have with this ship is, well, it's got a cabin. It's only a one-seater, so. But, I mean, really cool cabin in here. I mean, I guess it's kind of nice to have in your garage. I mean, it's got, you know, dare I say, close to Origin stylings in here. Very fancy. Well, it's more Spartan than fancy, right? Let's call it that. But it's kind of clean. I like it. It kind of speaks to me. But the problem is, I mean, I guess you can put a buddy in the bed, I guess. I guess you can do box missions in it. Is it a fancy boxer? I don't know. But, you know, the gameplay really isn't there, and you need to be, you know, like, I guess if you're going to use this for some pirating, to stop some ships from getting out, you need to work in a team. I don't have a good org that I'm in right now, I guess, and I don't have a lot of friends, so for me as a solo player, this isn't really a good ship to have. I only have like maybe 2 or 3 friends that I actually play with actively, so for me it's a little bit of a tough sell. And speaking of the sell, it's the price. I believe these things go for like $350, right? So it's not a cheap ship. So you know, I think like with any ship, if it doesn't fit your gameplay, then you really shouldn't be spending real world money on it. A lot of people, I hear the argument of, well, my org does this and my org does that, but I don't think that's a good reason to buy a ship. I mean, you don't know what your org's going to look like in a few years, or when this game finally does make it to a point where it's in production. So I wouldn't do stuff based on what you think your org is going to do. You should do stuff for you if you're going to spend real world money. And you know, hey, I mean, if you got money to burn and you just want to fly around and look cool, hey, no shame. I mean, this is for you. But if you're looking to, you know, get some sort of value gameplay out of this, some functional gameplay out of this, it's not, I don't think it's a ship for you at this point. There's some other stuff to spend your money on. But it does look nice. I'm probably going to pick one up. I think I talked myself into one of these. I will never do an episode on my hangar because there's a lot of ships that don't make sense in my hangar, like the Terrapin, but I just have a special feeling for it. We'll talk about that when it gets to Anvil Day. So let's talk about the Ursa Rover. Ursa Rover, in my opinion, is still one of the best ground vehicles in the game. I know people may say I'm crazy. You can go ahead and say I'm crazy in the comments. Put anything in the comments if you want. Because the comments, if you're subscribed, is your chance to win a Nomad. I'm giving away a Consolidated Outland Nomad. So, the only way I can pick a winner is by picking a comment randomly on one of my videos. So, this is one of the worst promotions ever done as far as the way I'm explaining it. But anyway, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. I'll pick one at random when we hit 300 subscribers, and it'll be your chance to win a Nomad. Alright. Sorry, we just spun off on a tangent. Back to the Ursa Rover. One of the cool things I like about the Ursa Rover, I mean, I'm more of an SUV kind of guy, but I still think that this is one of the better handling ground vehicles in the game. I mean, it's not super fast or anything like that, but I mean, it's fully pressurized on the inside. You know, you can carry 4 people and cargo if you need to. 4 people in the back, 2 people in the front. So 6 people in total. So as far as utility goes, I mean, this thing is great. I think the handling is great for what it is, for the size of vehicle it is. I know the tumbrils are fun, but sometimes they're too fast for me. And I find myself spinning out a little bit. I think this is tuned just right. And I don't know if I mentioned to you, but I'm working on a Rock DS video. And this handle is better than Rock DS in my opinion. So it's still a very sharp looking vehicle. You can't carry it in every kind of ship. Obviously you need something that's big, like a Freelancer Max. I'm not sure if it fits in a Freelancer Max actually. Probably doesn't. But anyway, you need something big like a Constellation, a Mercury Star Runner. Let me think, does it fit in a Cutlass? I don't think it does fit in a Cutlass. I should have done better homework on this, guys. Anyway, though. Ursa Rover, I think they go for $50 if you're paying with real money. Don't buy with real money, though. You can earn it in-game fairly cheaply. Unless you're like me and you like shortcuts. And, you know, like I said, maybe $50 on a given month is no big deal for you. But ground vehicles in general are not a good value if you're looking for a value item in the game, because they're fairly inexpensive to buy with game money once you start playing. So don't feel pressured to buy this one. But as far as adding it to your hangar, I think it's a definite add and something you would get use out of eventually. And hey, like I said, if you got $50 to splurge, I think there's worse ways to burn 50. Alright, so that's my take on the Ursa Rovers. Let's go take a look at what's in the display hall over here. Alright, I'm an Origin guy. I wanted an Origin ground vehicle. This wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but it still is kind of sexy as far as Star Citizen ground vehicles look. The thing is, I don't really see it as a combat vehicle. I think I said that last year when it debuted. I have a hard time seeing Origin as a serious combat, brand, and that's just my opinion. You guys can jump on me in the comments below. I do know that they do have some combat-capable ships, so don't get me wrong. But when I'm buying my Origins, it's not usually for combat. That being said, the Rovers, I mean, it's an interesting concept, an interesting shape. Again, I would not buy this concept unless maybe you're looking for LTI tokens. I don't know if it comes with LTI this year. Ground vehicles are so cheap in game, you know, why spend the real world money on it? However, if you're me and you really like a ground vehicle, just go ahead and buy it, treat yourself. It's okay, they're usually cheap. It's a good way to support the game. Alright, what we're looking at here is the RSI Polaris. So the Polaris is a capital ship that is probably worth your money. And the reason why I say that is right now you have the Carrack, which is the big ship that can kind of do everything. This is probably going to be the next best thing to the Carrack, but it's going to take it even further with its military capabilities. So I think most of us are going to be in orgs. This is definitely a kind of ship that you'd want to have in an org. You're going to need a crew, of course, but some of the really cool things about it, though, is it has a fighter bay. It has the ability to repair fighters in it, so you can repair fighters that have been damaged in battle. It's got torpedoes here, it looks like. Turrets, I mean, it's going to be a heavy hitter. Intended for use as both a naval patrol ship and to serve as a flagship of militia operations, so again, it's filling that capital role. Polaris has capacity to perform search and rescue operations like light strike missions and in general security patrols. The Polaris includes the facilities to repair, rearm, and refuel single fighter, light bomber, or support ship. So, a lot of versatility with this one. And one thing that they did now is I don't believe it's hull limited. Anyway, Constellation Taurus is the medium freight version of the Constellation series. For some reason, it has not made it to the game yet. I believe I think it's on the roadmap for this year, I believe. I'll have to look that up. Or you guys can correct me in the comments below. Looks like it's a little bit of a different Constellation variant, but I guess it'll open up the world of hauling in an RSI fashion for you. Me personally, I'm really enjoying the Crusader ships, so I kind of lean towards the C2. That's just me, but hey, this is one to keep your eye on, and I believe the price point is pretty reasonable. All right, here's the Perseus that I was talking about before. So, Perseus, if you don't have a lot of friends like me, is probably the better ship for you to have, because I believe you only need a crew of 3 people, and this is a heavily armed ship. I mean, I even like the way it looks. It's kind of got an old, like, World War II battleship feel to it to me. Like, I could see this thing floating through the water. So anyway, I was on the fence about this ship because I really didn't like the price point. I still don't like the price point, to be honest. I think it's around $600. But this one is very effective, I think. I think it's going to be a game changer on the battlefield. You know, I think for a smaller ship, you may be cruising around in something larger, but when you see this, you're going to be thinking twice, like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to see this guy. You know, it's fully loaded, you don't need a huge crew, and I think after an event like Xenothreat, something like this would have been awesome to have for Xenothreat. I believe by all indications, it looks like we're going to get more events like that. I think that was a big success for the game. Anyway, look out for Perseus. I do think that is a buy if you want to grab one, if you have the means. Obviously, don't spend a kid's college fund or anything like that. So Scorpius, in my video talking about Invictus, and I think pretty much everybody's, this was the surprise ship reveal. Definitely has an X-Wing stance, X-Wing look to it. Very sharp ship, if you ask me. But there are some problems with it. Once it came out, well, first off, I should say the price was a little bit lower than I was expecting it to be, but it's probably about right for what the ship actually is when you get down to it. So it's at a $200 price point, which isn't bad. It's not breaking the bank. This is classified as a heavy fighter because it's got 8 guns on it, which I believe are all laser repeaters, which means laser repeaters just give you a sick amount of DPS, and I believe they're all size 3. So looking at it on paper, you're like, wow, a fighter with 8 size 3 repeaters. My god, that's going to be scary. But one of the drawbacks is that cannon, which is on the top, that can slide backwards. Maybe I'll show a clip of it while we're talking about this. For the coverage in the back, can only be controlled by the gunner, right? So you're going to need 2 people to make this ship effective. So hopefully you got a good friend with you. The other risk that I see with this, and I could be wrong, you guys let me know what you think, but because the pilot's guns are on the wings, and we know that wings are breakable with the damage model, I mean, that's one of the realistic things about the game, you know, they seem to be, to me, to be a liability, something that could break off in combat. So not perfect. It also does not have a cabin on the inside. I'm kind of big into cabins. Maybe it's because I'm not a combat person, but I like ships with cabins, like my Harbinger, which is a traditional real heavy fighter. That does have a cabin, space for 2, and a turret. You know, so you can go on extended, you know, excursions with them, I should say. This one you're not going to be able to go too far. I'm thinking the range isn't going to be too great either on it. And I don't know what the armor is on it, what the hull armor is, but when I'm thinking of a heavy fighter, I'm thinking of something that can take a pounding, and I'm not convinced that this one can yet, so it's not exactly what I wanted it to be. And it does have 8 missiles, you know, 4 on each side, which are tucked away nicely, but I think they're size 2, so, you know, I don't think we're talking about something that's going to pack a heavy punch. But all that negative stuff aside, if you like Star Wars, I like Star Wars, this is a fighter that I want to have in my hangar. You know, the first MMO that I played that I really loved was Star Wars Galaxies. That's not around anymore. I know a lot of people knock Star Citizen sometimes when they see a ship and they're like, well, that's an X-Ray, or that's from Eve, or, you know, that blah, blah, blah. I mean, I get it. Sometimes this game draws inspiration from other games like Elite Dangerous and other sci-fi genres and stuff like that. You know, this is a cross between an X-Wing and what's that ship in Babylon 5? But both shows, both series I really love. And they don't have an MMO game like this. Nobody does. So if I can get a Star Wars like X-Wing like fighter in this game, I'm totally okay with that. I'm actually excited for it. So I'm cool with it. If you look at the marketing, they're not backing away from the Star Wars references. I mean, I think one of the pictures looks like it's on Mustafar. I mean, hey, I say if you like it, go for it. And I think that's what it comes down to with this one. I don't think it's enough of a game changer in the stats that you're going to get it for that. You're probably getting it just because you like the way it looks. And, you know, if you do have a buddy, I will say, if you're running away from a fight or something like that, the fact that it can fire from the rear is a game changer. So, I mean, that is something compelling about it. But, you know, one of the best things about this game is there's really no killer ship. They all have pluses and minuses and something that you have to factor into the gameplay. You know, something that you're going to gain and something that you're going to lose. And it really has to map your playstyle and what your org is like and all that stuff. And I'm only blathering on and ranting about all that because I think if you decide that, you know, you're going to get sucked into putting down some real money on some of this stuff, I would be asking yourself some of those questions before you spend the money. That's usually what I do, and then sometimes I just have guilty purchases where I'm like, it's a sexy ship, I just love it, I have to have it. But I have an addictive personality when it comes to this sort of stuff, and I am definitely a type of person who falls into FOMO, the fear of missing out. So I am not a good example to go by. And if I'm giving you advice, it's probably because I feel like I made this mistake somewhere along the line in building my own hangar. So don't take it as, oh, that guy's preaching to me, blah, blah, blah. No, I just don't want you to make some of my mistakes. Anyway, hope you guys are enjoying it so far. I think that probably covers everything from RSI. Let's check out what's on the side rooms. That dude looks like a boss. I don't. I look like a tourist. Alright guys, let's see what's going on in this room over here. Oh, well. Alright, looks like we've got Origin, Consolidated Outland, and Argo. So this is the crap room. I'm just kidding. Don't kill me, anybody, if you're a fan of any of these, please. But it's not exactly a room that's blowing me away. And, where to start? Let's start with Origin, I guess, since it's here. And I'll tell you why not. I suppose this should be the cream of the crop in the room. Definitely the luxury line of ships, more or less. I believe this is just a 125A? The combat version of the 100 series. This looks kind of sharp in that paint. Yes, it is a 125A. Alright, finally I got a ship right. So this is kind of like their entry-level ship. These have legendary fuel consumption, so it's great if you're concerned about that. The arms on it are actually pretty decent. I've used it in combat before, and it's not too bad for some entry-level missions. And I'm nowhere near good at combat. People joke about my skills, and I was able to get through a mission with this. So if I can do it, then you can do it. What's kind of nice is you do have a cabin inside of an Origin and some storage space here, so you can do some box missions. You know, you got a bed and you can do some combat. But anyway, I mean, if you're looking for an entry-level ship, I mean, it looks good because it's an Origin. It performs well as far as the handling goes, and, you know, it's capable. I'm just not sure that I would buy this over an Avenger Titan. I mean, I'm sorry. I think the Avenger Titan is still the ship to get if you're in the entry-level stages. Splurge a little bit more and upgrade to that guy. It's a decent fighter. It can carry a small vehicle in the back, like a buggy. It can do cargo missions. It's got a bed inside as well too. It's sad to say because that ship is pretty old, but at this point, I mean, I still can't find a ship in that class that beats the Space Penguin, and we'll talk about that more in the Aegis Day. So here you got the 325A, the combat version of the combat variant of the 300 series. Which, after talking about the Scorpius, I think I have newfound respect for these. I mean, I do have one, I just don't use it that often for combat. One of the reasons why is that I'm not too crazy about the armament of it. You know, not being great at combat, I like heavier ships that have a lot of armor. And in my experience, this one was not that durable, but it is very fast and you can arm it fairly well. The other thing I don't really like is that you have to use this ladder to climb into the 300s. And somebody left the bathroom open, so we're greeted by the toilet. But it does have a toilet, which is nice. I mean, the Cullis doesn't even have a toilet. No shower though, no showlet, so it looks like it's just a toilet. Let's close this though. But it's good to know that it does have a toilet. Not too many combat fighters have that. The Space Penguin, for example, I don't think has that. So I think at some point bathrooms are going to be a valuable thing to have. I know this is funny, it's turning into a bathroom talk, but we already know that we have to manage our food to a certain degree, not to like an Atlas extent, but food is important, so why wouldn't using the bathroom be important as well too? So, you know, anyway, it's an Origin. You got a classy bed, panoramic roof, which is nice. You got your kitchen area here, and you can customize this and get like a coffee maker and stuff like that. I mean, really nice stuff, really nice touches. You know, and I think you got your weapons locker and clothing, as well as, you know, your glasses for, you know, drinks with your date. But speaking of the date part, one thing I think that's kind of silly about these ships is that they don't have like a second seat. Sure, you can carry a friend by having them sit on the bed, but I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird that it's a one-seater, but that's just me. Maybe I'm strange like that. But these are luxurious. They come with a nice cabin. Performance is great. I just don't think it's a good buy money-wise, but if you do spend money on it, it's not an expensive ship either, so I can't say that you necessarily did wrong. You know, again, not too bad. You can also upgrade your starter ship into one of these guys if you want, and the range is fairly decent. This huge gun here is prone to being damaged. That's happened to me once or twice. And the wings are prone to being damaged as well too. So, you know, to me, I still think I'm probably going into battle with an Aegis, but this is not a bad ship to get around in and to handle some missions as well too. If you're a fancy middle-aged guy like me with a midlife crisis and you're looking for something that is a sexy fighter. Yeah, so I'm just not a Mustang fan. The Delta has a reduced cross-sectional signature that evens the playing field. Okay, not gonna lie, I don't fly this one that much. One of the reasons why I don't fly it is the style doesn't really appeal to me. When I did have it, you really can't do anything in the cabin. Even the variant that does have a cabin, you can't walk around in it because the developers for some reason never finished it. So, actually, I don't know what the reasoning is why they haven't spent more time on this one. But it's an entry-level ship anyway. I believe it fits in a $40 to $45 price range. I'm not sure exactly the price on this one. You know, it's not bad. But at this point, I think the Aurora LN is probably a better value. Just because you can do like those box missions that I was talking about earlier. Although this is a nice paint job, I mean, I must say it's kind of growing on me, the style of it, a little. Foldable wings are kind of nice. Consolidated Outline is kind of known as like the disruptor in the verse. They like to do things a little bit different. They are the Tesla, what's that guy's name? Silas Kerner, I believe, who's the CEO. So he's got those commercials about how they want to change things up and shake it up, and I guess that's what the Mustang does, but it doesn't do it for me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah, I'm just not feeling the Mustang. I like the Argos. I like the Argo Cargo. I know there's kind of a joke going around in Twitch where other content creators want to vote for this one to be the best in show ship and get a custom livery skin for it. I'm all for that. So these are kind of like, these little runabouts are kind of like the workhorse of the verse. They're very versatile. They carry cargo between ships and bases and stuff like that. So a lot of these are around docking stations, although I think if you go on Lorville, there's one that's kitted out to be a hospital ship, like an ambulance one. There is a personnel version one, which is not a lot of fun to ride in the back with. I've been on that one. I don't believe these have quantum, but they're small. They're easy to fly. They're fun to fly. And they can land in the back of a ship. I think they're kind of a cool ship to have. The problem is they're extremely cheap. So do not spend the $35, I believe, that they're asking for this. You can get this in-game. But of course, if $35 is nothing to you, if that's lunch money for you, you know, I mean, that's your own choice. But not particularly a lot you can do with these. They're more of an in-lore kind of thing, I think. Although, when maybe player settlements is a thing and long-term travel is a thing, this may be the thing to have. You know, even ferrying between an 890 jump and a station and stuff like that, I've seen people use these for that. And they're very capable ships for that. Very small, very minimal footprint and resources. And one thing that's a feature that I think is really overlooked with these is they really have cool doors. Watch this. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Those are Lambo style doors. In an Argo Cargo, man. Anyway, I'm trying to find exciting things to say about the Argo Cargo. And I'm struggling. But no, actually, I kind of like these. I just wouldn't recommend you spend money on it. So it looks like I have probably talked you guys to death about day one. But hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed my unique perspective on stuff. Really not a lot to say about this lineup of ships, right? So that's going to do it for this. Let me know if you guys like this style of video that's unscripted and just me blathering. I'm still giving out a Consolidated Outline Nomad, so by just being subscribed to the channel and leaving a comment, You're entering in to win that when I hit 300 subscribers. So I'd love to thank you guys by having that drawing. So definitely drop a comment, get yourself in the game. All you have to do is say hi. But hopefully leave some more constructive criticism than that. I would love to craft more content that you guys would like and that's meaningful. Aside from that, enjoy the rest of your Invictus experience, and I hope I see you guys out here. Wherever you are, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.